This is Wurps, and welcome to the V60 Lethal Company update. I'm going to review the patch notes here and show off the new stuff. Here is the new intro cutscene. Here are the patch notes in written form from the wiki. I will be going over these and the other patch notes while we continue to watch the opening cutscene here. To start off, they have temporarily removed the kidnapper fox, kind of understandable. They've removed the bog crawler and the goopy goblin, not sure what that's about. Made changes to the dine entrance positions, we'll check that out. They reworked coilheads in an interesting way. They were kind of annoying, so what they've done is they made it so coilheads will now enter a recharge phase after chasing you for a certain distance. They will also lose track of you after a certain amount of time, out of range and line of sight. And they have difficulties completing jumps if they're spotted by a player while jumping. I think that one is mostly to stop the trick where you can get the coilhead stuck by looking at them and then having players switch aggro at very specific moments to get them trapped forever. I don't know if that's the case for sure, but that seems to be what it is. I think that's a pretty good rework overall. They were definitely just an annoyance that seemed almost impossible to really get rid of. You just have to deal with them shortly after. Coilheads were kind of just always a pain, so this will slightly reduce that while maintaining the danger level. Here are the gameplay changes, also from the wiki. Change the opening cutscene, as we saw. The butler chance to not attack the player on collision decreased from 14% to 5%. So now you have a 95% chance to get stabbed on collision. So avoid that. The thumper now plays an audible noise when colliding with a wall. Interesting. I thought there was already a noise, but we'll have to listen to that. The spore lizard now plays an audible noise when stomping on the ground. Okay, gave the little stompy a sound now. Weed killer cost decreased, but they just removed the foxes. Interesting. The item pickup sound now also plays when equipping an item from the inventory. Okay, we'll have to see how that works out. When dying, employees now automatically spectate closest player to the death position. Makes sense, that's probably where the action will be. Added a 9.6% chance for every scrap spawned on a moon to be of the same type. That's kind of a high chance for something so big. When this happens, the value of each scrap is restricted to 50 to 170 credits, when the total value of the scrap would be below 600 or 1500 for two-handed scrap. The total scrap value would be multiplied by 1.4 times, and if it's too high, it gets multiplied down. That's pretty big, so you might get a bunch of ducks or a bunch of plastic fish, gold bars. That seems like it would kind of have to be the new strat if you wanted a high quota, is to just fish for a very high value two-hander run or gold bars or something. Events that spawn in the new interior don't have a crawl sound effects before spawning an entity. Okay, well, that's spooky. In the new mineshaft area, there's no warning before the vents pop things out. Vein shrouds increased the minimum spawn distance from the ship slightly, decreased spawn chance, but there's no kidnapper fox. Okay, we'll have to see how that goes. There's the coilhead changes again. Manticoils now leave at 11:58 a.m. instead of 4:27 p.m. That might have an impact on something. Here is the new Maneater. It is currently just a cute little baby thing, but it can change under certain circumstances. It's a bit of a crybaby, and you have to pick it up and rock it and calm it down, and it'll chill for like 5 seconds like a real baby, or longer if you rock it for longer. But if you let this thing be in a bad mood for too long, it will grow up too fast. Caution is advised when attempting to take the baby out of the facility. While it is possible to recover this situation, this is what happens if you don't. If you can't handle your newfound responsibility, there is an option. These are normally not damageable in small form. They are damageable in large form, however, they are extremely dangerous and have 5 hit points, so that might be pretty tough. This is the other option where you just do this. It's dead. It just kind of exists now. Here is a somewhat realistic scenario of trying to deal with these with just a few shotguns. Yeah, that didn't turn out well. Here is trying to stun the new Maneater with a stun grenade and seeing how that works out. How? Okay, for real this time. Hopefully. It is now set. Waiting for it to transform, throwing the stun, not seeming to do much at all. I'm blind. Questionable. Here we've got the rates of the new layout per moon and the rates of the Maneater spawn chance per moon where it is possible. As we can see here, Vow is almost always a mineshaft planet now. So if you want to start it there and look around, there is your option. Offense is also a mineshaft. That map is questionable though. Artifice, 50% chance, mostly mineshaft weighted. Dine, surprisingly, is decently mineshaft weighted at 31%. I don't know if I would want to go in mineshafts with landmines in them or turrets. That does not sound that fun. Rend sounds like a great place to have a mine shaft. Overall, though, the new entity's spawn rates are not that high. They're decent on a few maps that people actually go to. Occasionally Assurance, Adamance, Artifice. People don't go to Vow very often, I feel. Dine, the chances are very low. Rend doesn't even have a chance. Only one can spawn anyway, so the higher chances on the other maps isn't that big of a deal. So once you deal with your first one, there won't be another. There's a decent amount of new nice scrap items to mess with. They have a soccer ball that you can kick around. They have a clock that ticks. A garbage lid that is garbage. They have some sort of control pad with joysticks. A little fox plushy toy looking thing. Toilet paper. A red plastic cup. Classic. A toy train. Makes little choo-choos. He also made it so when you swap items, the noise is played again. So if you just fill your inventory with trains and rapidly swap around. Okay, now quite the big change here. The values on this are pretty generous too. This Coilhead can now shut down after chasing a certain amount of distance / for a certain amount of time. Just being in an active state, the Coilhead will shut down to recharge. Now this will be 30 minutes in game at the top. So from 9 to 9:30 or 20 real-time seconds, the coilhead will withdraw his spring and just sort of sit there, and then he'll turn back on. There's a sound accompanying the deactivation and activation of the coilhead, so you have a pretty decent amount of time to just get away from them. And you can actually manipulate this if you use the doors, because people have already been using the doors in this way, where the coilhead will just sit there and run in place, and now by doing so you can force them to deactivate. So by doing this and having them just run in place at a door, you can turn off the coilheads and just run away. Pair this mechanic with their new actual chance to lose you over certain distances, and you can actually get away from them now. That's everything. Thanks for watching. This is the new mine interior. Just a little tour. We finally got a new one after who knows how long. We'll see how long it is before we get a fourth interior. Hopefully not the massive amount of time it took for this one.